In the mid-2000s, Netflix had built a DVD empire, 6 million subscribers, relentless growth, pure profit. But as broadband swept the United States and DVD sales hit their peak, the company made a brutal, almost unthinkable decision to destroy its own cash machine before the world did. Why risk everything when you already have it all? Here is what really forced Netflix to self-destruct, and how it changed entertainment forever. Netflix's red envelopes became a familiar sight in mailboxes across America. By 2006, the company counted over 6 million subscribers, all paying for the promise of unlimited DVD rentals, no late fees, and the convenience of home delivery. The model was simple, but powerful. Customers browsed an online queue, picked their favorite movies, and received discs within days. When finished, they dropped the DVD discs back in the mail, and the next title shipped out automatically. This system created a steady, predictable stream of revenue. Monthly subscription fees rolled in whether customers watched one movie or 20. Churn rates stayed remarkably low, as the company's 2006 financial filings highlighted. Once customers signed up, they rarely left. The company shipped millions of discs each week, operating a network of distribution centers that kept delivery times short and satisfaction high. For years, DVD discs were not just a product, they were the engine of Netflix's growth and profitability. The business ran with enviable margins, fueled by scale and efficiency, and the promise of an ever-expanding library kept customers loyal. In households across the country, Netflix became synonymous with movie night. The company's future looked secure, built on a foundation of recurring revenue and customer trust. Few could imagine a reason to ever change a winning formula. By the mid-2000s, the ground beneath the DVD business began to shift. High-speed internet, once a luxury, swept across the United States. In 2003, only about half of American households had broadband. 4 years later, that number soared past 80%. This new digital backbone changed how people thought about media. Movies and television could now move through wires and airwaves, not just through plastic discs. Yet as broadband adoption surged, sales of physical DVDs reached their peak in 2004, and then started to soften. Retailers and studios, still basking in the profits of DVD sales, saw this as a minor blip. Most believed customers would always want something tangible to hold and collect. Rental giants like Blockbuster doubled down on brick-and-mortar stores, convinced that streaming was a distant, niche experiment. Even major Hollywood studios licensed streaming rights for pennies on the dollar, dismissing digital delivery as a sideshow. But the numbers told a different story. More homes plugged into faster internet every month. Fewer people bought new DVDs or visited rental stores. The habits that once drove Netflix's growth were quietly eroding. The signals were clear for anyone willing to look. The era of physical media was entering its twilight, and the future would belong to those ready to adapt. January 15, 2007. Netflix rolled out its first streaming feature, called Watch Now. The service was bundled at no extra cost for existing DVD subscribers. But this was no instant revolution. The streaming catalog barely topped a few thousand titles, mostly older movies and TV shows, with major studio blockbusters conspicuously absent. Licensing restrictions and bandwidth limitations meant that the most popular new releases remained locked behind red envelopes. Engineers led by Neil Hunt worked around the clock to overcome technical hurdles. Streaming video reliably to millions of homes was still a daunting challenge. Most households had only recently upgraded to broadband, and the average connection could barely handle standard definition video without stuttering. Netflix spent nearly $40 million that year to build the streaming platform. That figure was buried in its 2007 financial filings. The investment dwarfed any previous technology spend in the company's history, and the board faced questions about whether it was pouring money into a losing bet. From a business perspective, streaming was a money loser out of the gate. Every hour of video watched online cost Netflix more in licensing and delivery than it earned in subscription fees. The company's 2007 10-K filing confirmed that the DVD business still generated almost all of Netflix's revenue and profits. Streaming, in contrast, was a costly experiment, one that could only survive because the DVD operation was so profitable. For now, the future of Netflix still depended on discs in the mail, even as the company quietly laid the groundwork for something new. Inside Netflix's boardroom, optimism about the DVD business collided with cold financial forecasts. By 2007, management faced a stark choice: protect a business that still produced steady profits, or risk it all on a model that, so far, only lost money. Finance leaders, led by the company's CFO, ran scenario after scenario. Their models projected that even if streaming took off, revenue from the DVD business would fall sharply, possibly by 30% within a few years. The numbers were uncomfortable. Accepting this meant willingly sacrificing the very foundation that had made Netflix a household name. Reed Hastings and his executive team debated the consequences. Quarterly earnings per share would take a hit. Shareholders, used to reliable growth, might revolt. But the alternative, clinging to physical media, looked worse with every new broadband subscriber and every drop in DVD sales. Board presentations documented the risks in detail. Internal decks from 2010 outlined a streaming-first roadmap, with explicit warnings about the pain ahead, declining margins, customer confusion, and a likely drop in stock price. Yet the board gave its approval, not because the path was safe, but because it was the only one that offered a future. This was not a pivot made in haste. It was a calculated act of self-cannibalization, signed off at the highest level. The company would move forward with streaming as its core, fully aware that it was about to upend its own success. The decision turned an experiment into a mandate. Netflix would dismantle its own profitable business before the market could do it for them. July 12, 2011, Netflix announced that the familiar $9.99 DVD and streaming bundle would be split into two separate plans, $7.99 each, totaling $15.98 for customers who wanted both. The change landed without warning. Within hours, outrage exploded across social media. Subscribers flooded Twitter and Facebook with angry posts, calling the move greedy and confusing. The company blog filled with thousands of furious comments. Headlines compared the move to the launch of New Coke and other infamous corporate blunders. In the weeks that followed, cancellations surged. By the end of the third quarter, Netflix had lost 800,000 subscribers, a drop confirmed in the October earnings report. The company's stock, which had traded above $300 in July, plummeted by nearly 75% in just a few months. Investors panicked as market value evaporated. Customer service lines were overwhelmed, and loyalty scores hit record lows. The Q.O. Wixter brand, meant to separate DVD service, became a punchline overnight. For a brief, chaotic window, it looked like Netflix had triggered its own collapse. In February 2013, Netflix released its first marquee original series, House of Cards. The company had poured $100 million into the project, betting that exclusive content would pull viewers to streaming and away from traditional networks. Ted Sarandos, the chief content officer, championed the strategy, arguing that only by owning its shows could Netflix control its future. Content spending soared year after year, reaching billions of dollars as Netflix raced to secure rights and produce new originals. Meanwhile, rivals who clung to physical media or pay television models faltered. Blockbuster, once Netflix's fiercest competitor, filed for bankruptcy in 2010. Storefronts shuttered across the country, leaving red envelopes and streaming queues as the new normal. As Netflix's subscriber base grew worldwide, DVDs faded into the background. On September 29, 2023, the company mailed its final disc, closing the book on an era. The pain of self-cannibalization had cleared the field, leaving Netflix as the architect of a transformed industry. Streaming now accounts for over 80% of US home entertainment revenue, a direct result of Netflix's willingness to erase its own foundation. In a world where disruption is constant, the real risk is refusing to change. Survival, it turns out, demands the courage to destroy what once made you.